And I also heard you're working on some solo stuff.
It's funny. It's like the gods don't want me to do it.
Really?
Yeah, it's really bizarre because I started to, and everything was really cool, and it wasn't even my idea. I was contacted by someone who, I don't want to say because I'm not going to work with them,
right.
But they contacted me. It was somebody really cool, another artist, and they were like, "Look, man, dude, I want to work with you on this record. I want to produce this record for you." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Like, you're cool. I don't know you. Let's hang out. Like, this is awesome."
Yeah.
And then I started to work, and I kind of got like, I don't really know what I want this to be. Like, I don't really have anything to say here right now. So, and then all of a sudden, at the same time, we in Gaslight started writing new songs. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this is not right. Maybe we should just put out a record sooner than we thought, and get back in the studio in the winter with Brendan. Because we stopped touring in September. Right. So from then until the time we make another record, we're off. But I feel like we shouldn't, if we're still inspired to do something, now we have an idea, we know what the next record's going to sound like, we have like a goal, and we're all trying to sort of get this like thing together because we have to learn how to play every time. Like, we have to learn how to replay again because it's like we never stick with what we do. It gets harder. So that's what we're doing right now. And I think that's going to take precedence over. And there's this weird thing in the back of my mind. It's like Dave Grohl never had a solo project, or like Roger Daltrey didn't have a solo project, or like, like I guess you could say Eddie did, but it was like, I mean, he's like 48, like, and they've been a band for 20 years, like, so it doesn't really count as like the same thing. And I have this like weird thing where like, if you're gonna try and be a great band, you don't really do a solo project.
Right.
At this point, you kind of wait until, like, I guess sort of Tom Petty did a solo record. Like that Full Moon Fever is technically it's just Tom Petty, but all the Heartbreakers played on it. Yeah. So it's not really a solo record.
So what about Horrible Crows? Anything happen with that?
I don't know. Like that, it's not like not gonna happen, but I can't find the time to do it. Like, one day it's gonna just strike me.
Yeah.
But I think I really have like a little like friendly chip on my shoulder about Gaslight Anthem right now, about trying to prove something. I've got like this big thing to prove, like no, we can be like a rock band, and we can be as big as all these other bands and still last.
Yeah.
Like, I've just got this real kind of I guess it's with the whole like, nobody sells any records anymore. Well, we sell records.
Yeah.
But I think we can sell a lot of records. And I don't even care about I don't care about anything to do with, I only care about that, just proving someone wrong. Being like, no, in this age, you can do it, and this is how you do it. And I think that it's possible. I think that, we play for a lot of people.
You do.
And we have that, Wilco thing, where you can go and play for a lot of people, and maybe they don't sell as many records as, the Foo Fighters or bands like that, which I don't really care about the number specifically, just the fact of saying, wow, they sold that many records, in this age,
right?
Just to show that a band can still do it. That's a regular band without any gimmicks, without believing or without buying into any of the the trends too much. You can buy in a Stones way,
right?
Where when disco was popular, they had a little bit of disco in there, and I don't mind that. But I still do think a band of 4 or 5 guys can be huge, and I have a little bone to pick.
I agree with you, but it's just it's kind of like watching it all happen, working at the radio, which is awesome because what I said about Orion, with the Rat listeners, it could be very tough because when you're trying to put a Gaslight Anthem record in front of a Metallica fan, it could scare them away. But everybody's just, even with 45, and now we added Here Comes My Man, which is they could tell you is on all the time. It's just it's getting received so well. Yeah.
I didn't think that was going to be the one. Brendan thought that was going to be the one. He's like, I love this one.
Yeah.
This is the one. And I was like, what are you talking about? It kind of sounds like the Byrds and Tom Petty and soul music. I was like, this isn't the one. Yeah. And I was wrong.
But it's, everyone loves it. And even stations down south that play more India's alternative stuff. You guys are received really well there, and college radio. I think it makes a perfect crossover.
It's really weird. It's how
good,
we get,
but it's a good
we're lucky.
thing.
We're a lucky band. Very fortunate, because nobody kind of gave us that, you guys are posers, No one, even the elitist kids didn't do that, I don't know. I'm not going to change anything. I think I'm going to stick right here.
I hope you don't. I think you guys are doing just fine.
I just want to, I'm excited about where we are. I don't think I realized where we were until recently. I started to be wow, we're doing pretty good. Like this is really working out. This is cool. And you know, I wonder what else we could do. You know, like how much more could it work out? You know, and I think that's the thing to being a long-lasting band is to stay like keep having something to prove.
Right.
You know?
And you're still very involved with like New Jersey, and I bring that back to my show because people see you out and about all the time, and it's cool to hear people say like, "Oh, I saw Brian Fallon at Russo's today," or like something small like that. But
I go there a lot. Russo's I go to.
we have a friend that works there named Wills that long curly hair. He's a drummer, but he always tells us that he like, "Oh yeah, Brian Fallon's here today," and we're like, "Awesome!" But I always
just bought a guitar.
Oh, you did?
The other day from there that I'm gonna be playing at the shows.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's very cool.
And I mean, like, I've seen you out and about, and like, I saw you at Court Tavern a couple months ago at one of my buddies' shows who actually works at the Rat.
And the Gates show.
Yeah, Gates and Owl. His band
Right,
had it was
Owl.
their EP release.
Yeah,
party.
I remember that.
And it's just like, do you think you're going to be in New Jersey forever? Is it like you have some sort of attachment to it? Or you just really
like it. I mean, I've moved to Brooklyn. I did that.
Yeah.
You know, we lived in LA for a little bit. Like the band lived in LA for a really short time, but like it was enough to be like, okay, I live in LA for a minute. And I don't know, I just like it. It's just that's where I know people. It's where I mean, I don't have like this sense of like Jersey's better than everyone else.
Right.
But I like it. You know, Hawaii's nice too. I mean, but
Right.
but it's comfortable here for me. You know? And people aren't weird. Like I was driving to the city last night and some kid was two kids were in a car and they just pulled up next to me and they were just like, hi, like, you know, hey, we like your band, like we're on our way to punk rock bowling, we're flying to Las Vegas. And I was like, cool, say hi to the Souls. And this was like at a light.
Right.
And then I was just like, all right, see you later. You know, and we just drove away. And like no one's weird. They didn't try to take my picture. They weren't intrusive at all. They just
Right.
waved. You know, the girl at the pharmacy recognized me the other day.
Really?
Yeah, it was cool.
That's awesome.
And she's just like, hey, I'm like, hey.
And speaking of the Souls, I wanted to ask you also, with like the bands you guys pick to go on tour with and play with, I almost feel as if, even with the Hold Steady, you're kind of trying to reintroduce bands that have been around to a crowd that may not necessarily know who they are.
Yeah,
like,
that's the point.
Is exactly the
Yeah,
point.
because it's
Okay.
like the Hold Steady is a band that honestly should be giant.
I agree.
You know what I mean? They're the best, I think, rock and roll band going right now. Like I think in a certain way, there are some songs of theirs that could be just as good as anything else. You know, that's like considered great. And we played with them one other time, but I just really, really like Craig and his music and the band's music. I love them, and I really love that Felice Brothers band.
Yeah.
I think they're great. You know, and I think they're doing something genuine. I think there's a lot of that's like a trend right now, like that thing that they're doing. Like there's a lot of bands that are like, oh, I got my suspenders and my shirt from 1930s,
Right.
and I look like, and I'm singing about like gin joints and whatever. I'm like, dude, like, seriously, like you use the internet, come on.
Right.
And they're kind of like they give me this fake impression, but like the Felice Brothers don't. I get like a real legit vibe from them, like Justin Townes Earl,
Yeah.
like just really sincere. Like, hey, this is what I'm into. I don't care what the trend is, and when the trend is gone, I'm still gonna be doing this. Like Social Distortion.
Exactly.
Mike likes the 50s.
Yeah.
Cool. Like I dig it.
Me too.
I like the 70s. That's cool.
Right.
Now
Now I have to ask you one more question. I asked you last time for all those bands that I know it might sound a little like kind of creepy, but you are somewhat heroic to a lot of these bands that I work with. Like I can't tell you enough. So many of these young bands and they're 18, 19, they're just like, well, if Gaslight Anthem can do it, we can do it too. And I love hearing that because that is the point.
Yeah.
And that's why I love my show because like I told you earlier off camera, it's any format and I get to give these bands, some of the quality is not so great, but it doesn't matter because they're getting to hear themselves on the radio and that's just so cool for them. And I posted something I was going to be interviewing you and I got like so many questions. Ask him what we can do, ask him his advice. And last time you told me that bands just have to keep touring and touring and touring. Is it still?
it's still the thing.
Okay.
It's always been the thing,
Yeah.
and it still will be the thing.
Yeah.
Because but that what you're asking me right now harkens back kind of to why I said that, like, that's why we want to. That is why I would want to sell like 1 million records.
Yeah.
Because like I live fine. I have everything that I need. I don't need $1 million. Like I don't care. But the fact that a band could do that, imagine what that would do for all the other bands.
Right.
Because they would be like, well, if they can do it, why can't we?
Right.
And there's no reason why not. Because I looked at, I looked at Bruce and bands like that, like, hey, you guys are a bunch of, like, essentially when they started, you like kind of a bunch of losers, like from New Jersey, you know, like he lived down the street, and then like, but they did it, and like, why not anybody else? Like, why not?
Right.
So I think but touring, that's the real thing, you know, and bands, they have a hard time saying like, well, how could we get across the country? But they don't have to do that. They can, you know, wherever they're from, like if they're from Boston, you know, play Boston until you get a really big following in Boston. Like,
Right.
and what I mean is like when you can draw 200 kids, that's good.
Yeah.
You know, that's great. So what you do is then you start playing Boston on Friday and maybe like Rhode Island, Providence on Saturday.
Right.
You know, and then maybe you click in Burlington, Vermont or something like that. Places that are really close. And you just keep working those 3 places until you get 200 people at every place. And then maybe you go to New Jersey, go to New York, add on Boston,
Right.
or add on DC, add on Richmond. And before you know it, you're all the way out in Los Angeles drawing 200 kids everywhere.
Right.
And that's how you do it. That's how you develop a live following, because, you know, people chase record labels all the time, but it's like, if you can draw 200 kids in every city that you go to, you know, or even 100 kids, if you can guarantee 100 kids in every city that you go to, labels are going to take notice.
Absolutely.
They're going to absolutely start to be like, wait a second, you know, and that's without the radio or without the internet. Like, they're going to take notice.
Right.
So I think that's the way to do it, you know, and just keep touring, but don't play the same places all the time, you know, like don't do the thing, and also be honest with yourself that maybe some of your songs suck.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It's
Like
true.
a lot of bands are like, dude, I really feel this song. Yeah, you can feel it all you want, but no one else is feeling it.
Right.
And that's what Brendan is really good at.
Yeah.
Like he'll be like, dude, I know you really mean that song and it's like coming from your heart and all, but he's like, the world doesn't need to hear that song.
Yeah.
He's like, that's awful. And I'm just like, I'm the kind of guy who can receive something like that and just be like, all right, cool, and laugh
Yeah.
it off, and all right, I'll write another one, like
Yeah.
whatever. But those are the real things. Be honest with yourself and just build up a following. You know, that's why we played the Court Tavern for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Until we, you know, but we would tour and we would lose all our money and then lick our wounds, go back home, get a painting job, get a roofing job, save up $500, and then just go out on tour, quit the job. There's a
Right.
million landscapers,
Right.
man. Just quit. You know, they don't care if you're there or not, because
Right.
you probably can't do anything right anyway if you're a good musician,
Yeah.
which is what I couldn't do anything right
Yeah.
other than this. So
Well, thank you, and I'm sure everyone's going to take that to heart, and
true.
it's definitely true.
Test it. See if I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. I tell these bands all the time, and they do these contests, and they bust their butt to sell all these tickets, and then they don't make the show, and it's just like, it's so heartbreaking because it's so discouraging. I'm like, you don't have to go through all
Sell
that
tickets
all the
though.
time.
I think I'm busting a lot of people right now, but we never sold tickets.
Yeah.
Not one time. Like since we were the Gaslight Anthem, we were like, you know what? We're never doing that again. And we never did it. And people will hold you kind of hostage and be
Right.
like, well, then you're not playing the show. Then you know what? Tell them, fine, we're not playing the show.
Yeah.
And just stick to your guns. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know, people will respect you later for that. So-
Absolutely. So, new music coming out soon, hopefully.
Yeah, we're going to be working on a new record, probably record in the winter.
All right, good.
That's what my hope is, as long as Brendan's free. I should probably call him and find out.
I think so.
Like, hey, what do you think about January or February?
Maybe one more single from Handwritten, or probably not.
There is one. There's I think they're doing Mulholland Drive.
Oh, good.
No, I don't think. I know they're doing
All right,
Mulholland
awesome.
Drive. Yeah.
No, that's a good choice.
So there's a video, and they're going to release it to radio. I think it's coming soon.
Okay, good.
And then there's a DVD coming
Oh.
in between. Yeah. So
Live
there's going to
DVD?
be a live DVD. It's just like a short one. It's like maybe 10 songs. But it's just, we did it quickly, and we're going to put that out. And then I think we're going to do like another one with the record. So
Awesome.
there'll be 2. So there'll be something like in between the record and now.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Brian.
Yeah, no sweat.